Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Marta and today I will be doing a very interesting video where I will be picking out the different shadows from my huge Colourpop 96 pen palette. The palette is from Colored Rain, by the way, where I'll be just picking out the ones that I would have not repurchased if I for some reason should have lost my palette or every shadow would have broken. And this video is not to say that these shadows are bad in any way, shape or form. I really like all of my Colourpop shadows. It's more about color preference and formula preference, just because I usually don't use that many transition shadows, and also I do not prefer to use satin shadows. I always use more sparkly metallic shadows instead. So with that out of the way, let's just go straight into the shadows. I actually have 16 shadows, it seems like, that I would not have repurchased, and as you can see, a lot of them are just satin shadows or mattes with sparkles in them, or transition shades, which I don't use that much, and repeat shades basically in my collection, at least from Colourpop. So I guess I will just go ahead and show you them one by one. So the first shadow that I would have not repurchased is the shadow Say I Do. It's a very pale pink. It's a pretty shadow, it's just that I don't ever reach for it because it's a transition shade and I rarely use those. I will just go ahead and swatch it for you guys so you can see it. I don't think I've ever used it, maybe like once. So you can see it's almost my skin tone, so it's a very pale pink, but you can actually see it. As for the second shadow I would not repurchase, it's the shadow Ready or Yacht, and this is a very pretty shade and it's very sparkly, so I would have thought that this is one that I would like, but it's just when I use it I just feel like it's very sheer. So even though it looks very nice here, I don't know if I should just use it as a topper shade or what, but at least with my experience this is a shade that I would not repurchase. And I have other ones that are a little bit similar. I have, for example, the new one they came out with, Painted Lady, and it's even more sparkly than this. So yeah, this is probably one I would not repurchase, but I do use it from time to time. I have used it several times. Third shadow I would not have repurchased is the shade Heavy Glam. This is a beautiful duochrome shade, but it is a satin shade. It has sort of like a pink to peachy shift, so it's a very nice color. It's just that since it's a satin, I never reach for it, just because I don't reach for satins. I way rather go for sparkly, glittery shades. But as you can see, it is very pretty. And if you do like more softer or neutral looks, then you'd probably like this one. So the fourth shadow here is the shade Labyrinth. And it's sort of a transition shade. It's a medium shade, I would say. I do really like it. It's a very pretty shade. It's just that I have one that is very similar to it, and that is the shade, it's actually one of the new ones called Charge It, but this one is a little bit brighter, so it's Charge It, and it looks like this. So here you have Labyrinth and here you have the shade Charge It, and I do like the one that is a little bit more bright because I don't really do that many neutral looks, but that's the reason why I bought this, because I want to have it just in case I want to make a neutral look and I need a medium toned shade. So I do think I will maybe use it in the future, so it's not like I would have decluttered it. I wouldn't have done with any of these because I really like the shadows that I have. But I will just swatch the shade Labyrinth out for you. As you can see, it is a very pretty shade. So just because I wouldn't have repurchased it doesn't mean I don't like it. I am happy to have it. The fifth shadow is the shadow that is called Pretty Cruel. It is a gorgeous shade, but it has like micro sparkles to it. When I have used this shadow, I have not noticed the sparkles at all, honestly. Maybe a little bit, but not much, because I've used it in my crease. But the reason why I have this here is just because I have a lot of similar ones. I will just go ahead and find one. For example, we have here the shade Get Out, and it has, I mean, it's different, but it's still very similar. So this is the shade Get Out, and here we have Pretty Cruel. So I could just use them for the same purpose, just without the micro sparkles in this one. So that's why I would have kept Get Out, but not Pretty Cruel. So I'll just go ahead and swatch Pretty Cruel. I'm not sure if you can, I mean, you can see the sparkles a little bit. They're not like very powerful. The sixth shadow is the shadow Cute Alert. This again is a very stunning shadow. I do really like it. It's a little bit of a cool toned brownish purple. The only reason that I chose this one to not repurchase is that I have so many similar ones from Colourpop. So I'll just go ahead and swatch this very quickly. It's very pigmented, blends beautifully. It's a gorgeous shadow, but as you can see in my palette here, I have so many that can be used for the same purpose. Here I have some more purpley ones, here I have some more brown ones, and then we have here some that will be almost identical on the lid. So that's the only reason that I'm choosing to cut that one out, but it's a shadow that I've used several times and I do really like it, especially for like dark smoky purple looks. Seventh shadow up is the shade Pinky Promise. Again, it's a very stunning shade and it is a little bit metallic, but I feel like I have other ones that are more sparkly than this and that look almost identical. So it's a very stunning shade, as you can see, and I do really like it. It's just I don't really reach for it anymore. So I will just go ahead and swatch that one for you guys as well. So it's a beautiful burgundy shadow, but it doesn't have like too much sparkle, it just has a nice shine. So it's not one that I reach for and I probably wouldn't repurchase it. And I have another one that's really similar. It's a shadow called Peace of Mind, and as you can see, it's super similar. I don't even really remember the difference on them. I think it's just that one is a little bit more purpley toned and one is a little bit more red. The one that's more red is this one, so you can probably see it when I swatch them. Yeah, this one even looks more pigmented. So it's the same reason for this one. It's more of a satin almost, it's not super sparkly, which is why I decided not to repurchase it if I would have to. Now for the ninth one, it's the shadow that is called XO Baby. It's a very stunning orange shade, but it has micro glitters in them. And I mean, it's a very pretty shadow, but I have one that's basically the same. We'll just go ahead and swatch it. It's the shade Ooh. So it looks like this, and it's basically the same shadow, just without the glitters in it. So I can go ahead and swatch that one too. So here you have the one with the glitters in, the one that I would have not repurchased, and then you have the other one, the shade Ooh. So as you can see, basically the same shadow. So this is the shade that I would have not repurchased, the shade XO Baby. And as you can see, it's not super pigmented, but it is a nice corally orange shade. Another orange one that I have not that I would have not repurchased, but I have used it several times actually. It's the shade Chauffeur. It's for the same reason as the other shimmers. It's more of a satin shade, and I do have other goldish shadows that I would prefer to use before this one. But it is pretty and I've used it several times, so I am happy to have it in my collection. Another satin shadow that I would have not repurchased just because of the formula is the shade Paradiso. It's a gorgeous purpley shade, but because of the formula I'm not reaching for it, and I do have several other ones in my collection, not from Colourpop, that look relatively similar, so it's still a stunning shade, it's just I don't really reach for it that much, so I would have survived very nicely without it. It is a beautiful shade. Here we have a duochrome one called Fault Line, and it's a beautiful duochrome. It's just, again, the formula, not my type. It's a purple to blue one, and it is really gorgeous. It's just, I mean, if I used it, I'm sure I would have loved the look. It's just that I don't reach for it because it's not super sparkly or shiny. So that's the only reason. And as you can see, it's not super pigmented either, so you have to kind of build it up if you want to use it. So now it's only 4 left, and the fourth to last one is the shade Baseline. This is not actually one I purchased myself, but they sent it wrongly because I had ordered the shade Lalo, which was not in my order, but they had sent this one instead. It's a pretty one, but I've never used it, I think. I hear Angelica Nyquist, she's like raving about this shadow, but for me it's a satin and it's just not something I reach for. Then I way rather use the shade Heavenly, which is a little bit more of a blue-green. This is more of a periwinkle light one. I can show you the shade Heavenly quite fast. Looks like this. So as you can see, it's not at all the same, but for me it's like this is more the formula that I would go for, more sparkly and shiny. Next we have the shadow that is called Beam Me Up, and it's a silver and it's quite stunning actually. It's just, again, this is it's a more satin shade. I mean, it is shiny, but not the best formula for me, I would say, because it's a good shadow. As you can see, it's quite pigmented, but I do have, for example, on a Whimsy, it's one of their newer ones, and here you can see the shade Beam Me Up, and then you have on a Whimsy, so you can see the difference in formula. This is way more shiny, way more to my preference. So since I would have rather repurchased this one than this one. I do think this one is discontinued as well, so but this one is so stunning. The second to last shadow is this one, and it is called La Playa, and it's a light green one. It's actually really cute, but again, it's a satin one, and for me, I could have used it for like an inner corner or on the lid, but again, I prefer more sparkly shadows. I feel like this is very repetitive that I'm telling you guys this, but basically all of these shimmer ones, it's because they're satin shadows and not really sparkly ones. So here you have La Playa swatched out as well. And then the last one, it's also a satin green one, but this one is called Up and Up, and it was, I think it said that it was supposed to be a green to teal one, but I don't really see the duochrome in it. It's a satin as well, only reason that why I wouldn't have repurchased it. But as you can see, it's a gorgeous shade. So here we have all of the different shadows that I would have not repurchased. As you can see, it's almost a rainbow, but I mean, I am happy to have all of these. It's just I don't really reach for them, and I have so many similar ones, so if I had to repurchase, I would have probably gone for some of the other ones that I have instead, and I wouldn't have missed these ones a lot, I think. But I am happy to have all of these, and I just love to have them also for shade reference or for duping purposes. So yeah, I'm not going to declutter any of these. I'm not really on the decluttering train. This is how my palette is looking like without the shadows that I said I would not have repurchased. And this is how my palette is looking with all of the shadows. I am planning to do a video on all of my different Colourpop shadows to swatch them. It is probably going to take a little bit of time though, because I'm still waiting for some parts for my extension rod so that I can have my camera going straight downwards so we can see a flat lay of the shadows while I am swatching them, because I think that would be just so much easier and a little bit more clean sort of for a swatching video. So it is coming, but I don't know when. But I really hope that you liked this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Please comment down below if you are totally disagreeing with me with some of these shades. Maybe you really love satins. And yeah, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. And hopefully I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye! Take it easy.